We from Philly.
If you don't know, we run these streets the same way the birds run that NFC East. Giants is weak, Skins is trash. Cowboys every season whoop that ass. Look, it ain't no competition. We here for those who listen. Want nothing but the facts. That ego coalition. We could give two fucks about your trash ass team. Our concern is about that black, that white, that midnight green. The feathers on the helmet, bruh, our hearts indebted. Fly Eagles fly, what it's about, bruh. I said it, look up.
But I just gotta know one thing. Are you ready? No! I said, are you ready?
What's up, Philadelphia? We are live broadcasting for the first time at Wildfire Sports Studios. Welcome to the premiere of Season 3 of 4th and JAWN. My, time flies by, doesn't it? Season 1 in the books. We called it quits at the end of the season. Season 2, we were all planning on doing it. We were all planning on hugging, high-fiving, cheersing to the new Super Bowl champions, and then I'll see you bitches in the summer. But first and foremost, I want to thank Wildfire Studios for being the new home of 4th and JAWN. It wasn't too long ago where we packed up this show and we said see you later. But then a couple weeks ago, Justin contacted me and said, hey, EROCK, Wildfire wants to talk to you. Talk to me about what? Get Wildfire on the horn. They say, hey, man, we know what the people want. I says, what do you people want? They said they want more JAWN. I says, I know that. Tell me something I don't know. They say, here's what you don't know. We're the people that can give you more JAWN. I said, no shit, really? And we brokered the deal that basically, for the off-season, an hour-long show weekly every Tuesday, like we were giving you at New Media Studios, we are here now at Wildfire Sports. Better yet, they says to me, hey, EROCK, guess what? We're going to give them better JAWN. Better JAWN? How the fuck is that possible?
Silky smooth.
Not only do you get an off-season 1-hour show once a week like you did at New Media Studios, but we're going to be able to stream the video live with the audio on Wildfire Sports. Now they don't got to click on a link to listen to the show. They can simply download the Wildfire Sports app. We just got to let them know it's streamed. They're on. Boom, right there. More JAWN, better JAWN. And
a lot of JAWN.
That is a lot of JAWN. And we're going to be giving you additional access, because we are going to have additional access. There's the opportunity here for press credentials, whether it be the NFL Draft, the Super Bowl, Radio Row. Hey, we're doing big things, so we want to thank Wildfire Sports. Thank you so much.
Appreciate y'all.
But boys and girls, boy, I miss saying that. Boys and girls, I want to make my message 100% absolutely clear from the get-go, because you're going to hear me pound this table time and time again about it. There is nothing above the repeat. We won a Super Bowl, our first ever in history. But if we want to talk about things like going back to back, if we want to use the D word, dynasty, there is nothing above the repeat. Now, according to my extensive research, which is done primarily on the toilet, since 1990, there's only been 3 teams to go back to back. You got the 92-93 Cowboys, 97-98 Broncos, and the 03 and 04 Pats. That is it. It's tough to win one, let alone get back there and do it again. So there is nothing above the repeat. Piggybacking off of that, there's only a couple teams out there that have gone to back-to-back Super Bowls and maybe lost the second ones. Well, first of all, you got the Buffalo Bills of the early 90s who went to 4 and lost them. Then you got the Packers who won one 96 and lost one in 97 to the aforementioned Denver Broncos. And then you got the Seattle Seahawks in 13 and 14. Again, there is nothing above the repeat. You want that parade again? You want that feeling again? Oh, it was so sweet, wasn't it? There needs to be nothing above the repeat. Now, some difficult decisions are going to have to be made. This isn't going to be easy. It's not easy to be done. That's why there's only 3 teams that have done it since 1990. And as the Eagles sit here and hoist the Lombardi trophy with one hand, they reach into the right pocket. They pull that pocket inside out. They ain't got no fucking money. They ain't got no money. They're $10 million over the cap. Not a great situation to be in. They swish hands with that Lombardi. Hold it up with the other hand. They reach into the left pocket, turn inside out. Ooh, draft picks are looking a little light. You got a 1, you got a couple 4s. That needs to change. But Howie Roseman did the magic to put this championship team together. I have faith in him that not only will he clean up his own house so we can sign some of our own guys, but dabble a little bit light in free agency. And we are going to get into all that. Some difficult decisions are going to have to be made in order to do it. But there is nothing above the repeat. Mr. Gale Saunders, Eagle Sessions on Twitter. To my left, sitting right next to me. I like this. I like how close you are, man. Not to make it weird, but I like this.
Now you made it weird.
How you doing, my friend?
Doing great, man. We got a Super Bowl
Yeah.
championship under our belt, and I feel like it's another opportunity to say thank you to this organization for what they did in the offseason last year. I mean, if you look at this team balled on a fucking budget. Howie Roseman did some magical things. We got these big-ass rings, and this team really was built through the draft and was built through off-season moves.
Yeah.
You know, if you're not really into like some people just like the Eagles and they just cheer they don't really dive into what happens in the offseason. They don't see what they did in the draft. They don't see what they did in the numbers. But if you've seen what Howie Roseman did last season with Joe Douglas and the collective, the moves that they made were so imperative for us to get a Super Bowl. Like if these moves didn't happen, we wouldn't be sitting here. So you Eagle fans, I think this is a year for you guys to even dive in a little bit more closer. You want to get to know this team, look at what the moves they do in the offseason. You look at we're in some cap trouble, but Howie Roseman knew this coming in. He's a step ahead. That's why a lot of our guys are signed. We're gonna have to make some tough decisions, and that's just the way it goes, But we got a Super Bowl ring, and we're about to defend the crown.
Absolutely.
Season 3.
There is nothing above the repeat. And we're going to dive into those tough off-season moves. Chances are it's going to get a little heated here in the studio. Reference one particular individual. But next, working the social media and banished to the crusty couch. Crusty couch. Is
Dead
our
on
boy,
accurate.
Philly Mike. Mike, how are you today, sir?
What's going on, fellas?
You look comfortable.
I'm pretty comfy right now. I ain't gonna lie.
He's a little
I can
sticky.
only imagine what is going on with this couch over the years with this place. But it's awesome to be here. Wildfire Sports, Wildfire Radio. This is gonna be awesome. First ever off-season show. I mean, we got a bright future already here. I mean, this whole thing get together, it's going to be something special. Yo, this Eagles offseason, though, I mean, we were just talking about a little bit ago. The Combine's about to start real shortly. I'm like,
comes quick.
Yeah, it's coming quick. It's weird.
Things go quick when you're Super Bowl champs. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So it's going to be an interesting offseason. How he makes some really hard decisions. Joe Douglas. It's going to be real interesting, though. I'm really intrigued.
Awesome.
What's going to happen?
Awesome. And working the soundboard, as always, Mr. Hollywood Hearn, Evan Bubblegum here. How are you today, sir?
I'm doing fantastic. I won the most important rock, paper, scissors game.
Sorry, you're getting the couch next week.
No, that might be your permanent spot.
No.
You look really comfy.
We're going to have to change that soundbite. Put him on the couch. Put him on the couch.
Put him on the couch. But I feel fantastic. I'm still glowing from the Super Bowl. I'm still thinking about those 2 beautiful days that I lived, both winning the Super Bowl and the parade. A day doesn't go by where I don't think about the one of them at some point during the day. But one thing that really, everybody's stressing out about the whole cap situation and things like that. Let's just take a second to look back to where we were this day last year. Look at the things that Howie Roseman made happen. Look at our wide receiving core that we were going into this season with last year. We had DGB, handless Nelson Aguilar,
Paul Turner,
who is the preseason Hall of Famer,
Bryce Treggs,
and I may be missing some, but Jordan Matthews. But the point is that if he can make that happen and turn that into a Super Bowl winning team, why should I not have confidence that he can turn a Super Bowl winning team into another Super Bowl winning team?
Absolutely.
If he can turn a bunch of mutts into champions.
There you go. Levon. How are you today, sir?
I'm doing great. Aside from
what do you think about the new studio, man?
I like it. I like it a lot. I like that Mike's on the couch over there. He looks really comfortable.
Don't get used to it.
Mike's been banished to the couch. I love it.
I get the bitch seat.
How have you been celebrating your championship, your Super Bowl championship over the last couple weeks?
Dude, I still just can't believe it. It's
Yeah, man.
it's so incredible.
I like your shirt there. That's a nice jacket there.
I love this jacket. I want to get another one. Mike and I were talking about it. I want to get another one just to hang it up so nothing ever happens to it. I love this jacket.
Have your backup, yeah.
Yeah, exactly, dude. You always gotta have a backup. But yeah, dude, I can't believe the draft is almost here. I can't believe the combine is this week. Free agency's 3 weeks away.
I know.
Yeah.
It's nice.
We're not used to this. I'm not really.
We're so much used to like 3 or 4 weeks by now, at least, of like solid Twitter arguments before we even reach free agency in the draft. And the Twitter arguments, man, we're just getting warmed up on them. We're just getting warmed up on them. Before we start talking about the Eagles' current situation and how they can maybe shed some cap room, what they might have to do positional-wise here or there. A couple housekeeping notes. Number one, the license plate guy, jersey burning GoFundMe. All right, I want to get off on that right, boom, at the top. For those of you who don't know or missed the video on Twitter, there's a guy by the name of License Plate Guy. He's kind of the Fireman Ed to what the New York Jets have, or even Shoulder Pad Sean to what we have, all right? He's like that famous, like, super fan, right? He's got the license plate, the long blonde hair. You've seen him. You know him. You think what you want about him. That's perfectly fine. For the last 13 years, he has been kind of antagonizing, torturing, and poking fun at Eagles fans by wearing a jersey that it's Giants in the front, right? Giants in the front. And then on the back, it's Eagles colors, and the number is 0, and the name tag says Super Bowls. Ha, 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 0 Super Bowls. Eagles fans have been the butt of that joke for, 52 years now? Well, it is no more.
Surprise, motherfucker.
Exactly. So I forget how I found out about this. I think I just saw a tweet of his that he was auctioning it off at an event he was holding in June. So I reached out to him and I said, listen, whatever you're being offered, I guarantee you that Eagles fans can offer more if I set up a GoFundMe. So we went back and forth. What about this? What about that? Boom, 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 boom. We finally finalized the deal. There's a GoFundMe, which is the pinned tweet on my Twitter account. It is to donate to the Tom Coughlin J Fund Foundation, which benefits families with children who are battling cancer. It's an awesome cause. And the GoFundMe is directly tied into their PayPal account. So I can't access the money. LPG can't access the money. The only people that can access the money are the foundation themselves. So we're at like 6,500. We need to get to 10,000 to even have a crack at this thing. Let's do it. Donate if you can, please. Number two, I didn't tell you guys before the show. The NFL finally got to me in the NFL in the 4th and John shop. I got about 15 email notifications prior to coming in here. Copyright, 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 copyright. So if you own one of those finally 4th and John shirts, consider it limited edition, special edition. If you own a lot of 4th and John shirts, consider them limited edition, special edition. Of course, the Fuck 'em and the Hungry Dogs Run Faster is still up there. I've got to redesign a few new t-shirts and put them back up. But if you were thinking about visiting the 4th and John shop, I would highly encourage you to do so as soon as possible before the NFL takes any more of our shit down.
We're gonna have to do some legal talk.
Yeah, we are gonna have to have a conversation after this show about how we go about our t-shirt business. So, Gail, we mentioned in the intro, $10 million over the cap as the Eagles stand right now. Not a lot in the draft pick department. If you're Howie Roseman, I want you to put on the Howie cap. What do you do? How are you attacking this offseason with free agency looming right around the corner?
You'd have to make some tough moves. Guys like like Garrett Blount. If they can't agree on a number, a reasonable number, you might have to move on from him. A guy who I love, Darren Sproles. You might have to move on from him. The numbers are bad, folks. I mean, you can't. There's shit needs to get cleaned up. I think Vinny Curry is a guy that you could maybe look at a team with a huge cap, needs a defensive end, and just wants to bring somebody in and overpay, and maybe we'll swap picks or something like that. You could do something like that. But how he's gonna move numbers around. I'm not worried about that. I think we're in a good situation. Going in, I'm not worried about we're not going to have money to, going into the draft or anything.
It's not going to take much to clean up your own house. All right, it's going to take some moving some pieces around, possibly some people restructuring, and letting go of some popular players that have been here for a long time.
I mean, you could ask the Jason Peters for a little discount, maybe.
Yeah,
I mean,
we all know Jason Peters loves those discounts,
right? You know, that's where you could definitely get some more money. And Brandon Graham wants to get paid.
Not only that, but you got the Brandon Graham situation.
Graham
he deserves it.
He does
deserve it.
Nelson Aguilar contract situation is going to be coming up as well. So not only do you got to clean up your own house,
and
you
then the
gotta
Carson
anticipate-
Wentz situation.
Yeah, we got how many years until that? Is
You
that
got
a next year
we got
project or
a couple
the year
years? But
afterwards?
it's just like it's coming. So I mean, that's why he's paid all these guys now. Like it's why Jernigan got paid. You know, Alshon gets paid. But you know, Torrey Smith is another guy. You can ask him for a huge discount, or you could just let him walk, go with the Matt Collins show. But then obviously the draft is where we have to build, and that's how this team got to where it is. The foundational pieces that have been brought in were really big moves with Carson Wentz coming in. You know, we had to give up capital, but you know that's how you win. That's how you win. You build through the draft. You know, guys, thinking about the foundational pieces. Jason Kelsey got in the later rounds.
Lane Johnson. Well, he was in the...
Well, Lane Johnson,
I'm
you know, he was drafted high, but he's your foundational tackle.
Corey Clement,
Brandon Graham, even Nelson Aguilar in the first.
Fletcher Cox.
Vitae,
Vinny Curry,
you know.
One guy I'm worried about
Jalen
resigning,
Mills.
though.
Jalen Mills.
Yeah, Jalen Mills. And there's another guy I'm worried about if we should resign is Bradham.
Have to.
I think we have to
Dude, it's a
resign
hack
Bradham. We got to figure out
machine, bro.
some
But
way.
Start a GoFundMe.
It's either. I think right now it's either or. It's either Nigel Bradham or
Trey
Kendricks.
Oh.
Kendricks.
Yeah, it's either you can't have both, folks.
What's the possibility of losing a Vinny Curry? Is that too much dead money? Is that because I'm looking at Barnett and thinking I'd rather have a rookie deal, and then maybe if we could save some money in Vinny Curry, is that a possibility?
After June 1st.
Well, yeah, I was taking a look at overthecap.com.
Yeah.
Now, Lee and Gail, I want you to correct me because you know how I am with all-season numbers, and my brain don't work too good. Okay, so but I was taking a look at like the Eagles' salaries and how they line up, and all right, you're $10 million over the cap now. That's on a $178 million salary cap total. I think that's after the expansion, correct?
Yeah.
That's post-expansion. Every year it kind of
That's what
inches
they're
up a little.
estimating.
That's what they're estimating.
It's all
it at.
estimation.
The fourth highest contract on this team is Vinny Curry. If you cut him pre-June 1st, right? $6 million dead, but you save $5 million. If you're able to trade Vinny Curry, let's face it, you drafted Barnett for a reason. You know, let's say you're able to trade Vinny Curry for a
Fourth.
Okay.
Fifth.
Fourth. Fifth.
Because you're gonna have to get a team that wants to eat that money
Tampa Bay.
and needs a defensive end. So
Tampa
go
Bay.
around, look. See, this could be a homework assignment for all the listeners out there. Look for a team that has a big budget and is looking for a defensive end.
Tampa Bay.
We'll get there because I have the top 10
Tampa Bay.
top 10 teams, which is going to go to my Foles argument later. The top 10 teams with salary cap. Oh yeah, I came prepared.
You're playing.
I came
us here.
prepared. No, I'm not playing. I came prepared. So Vinny Curry's the fourth highest contract, $6 million dead. You save $5 million. That's if you cut him, not including trade. Jason Peters, $6 million dead, $4 million savings if you cut him. Jason Peters
It doesn't
though,
make sense. Doesn't make sense to cut Peters at all.
I'm in favor of trading Peters. I'm just going to lay it out
Hey!
there.
Oh!
I'm just going to
Put him on the fucking couch.
Wait.
Say, switch seats. Come on.
Straight. Let's
Like it's tough because besides Malcolm Jenkins, Jason Peters probably holds literally and figuratively the most amount of weight in that locker room. He is the leader of that locker room.
That's like
all in all.
fucking like trading Yoda.
That is
know,
like
you're
trading
fucking-
Loda.
You don't trade Yoda.
You don't trade Yoda.
Okay, hold on though, but Vitae is not a Jason Peters, but he's 37 years old now, correct?
Yes.
Or will be 37 at the beginning of the season. How much longer do you expect? Now, he was the best tackle in football prior to getting rolled up on something fierce. But how much longer do you expect him to produce at that level, at that age, and with the injury history that he has?
But think about who's going to take him, though,
A playoff caliber team that's looking for a tackle.
with a bad wheel.
But that's all. That's you're arguing my reason to trade him. You're arguing for the trade.
Well, who's gonna take that cap?
There's a lot of teams with a lot of cap.
So
We'll get in there when I
you want to pay a $10 million for Jason Peters or $600,000 Vitae? Who would you rather have as your left tackle?
Jason Peters is a guy like he's a
Vitae held his own.
Hey, dude, you can go around the NFL and you can talk to any left tackle in the league. You can ask them who they study. It's fucking Jason Peters. He's a guy.
Excellent. That makes him trade.
Thank you.
That is value right there.
But it's
a tough decision.
But he's also a god in that. You go in that locker room, Doug Peterson.
That's like
you get Jason Peters on your team. You got another offensive line coach.
That's the equivalent of trading Brian Dawkins.
Yeah.
And now
we already did that.
Hey guys, I just want to tell you, we traded Mustafa. How do you guys feel about that?
All right, moving on.
Woo! Malcolm
Jenkins is. I think he's at 10 mil, a little north of 10 mil. Possibly a restructured deal there, maybe. As a leader on the team,
he's bought in.
He's bought in.
He seems like the type to do it.
We can extend it, restructure it, little more money guaranteed, little less money in the overall annual salary.
I mean, this is where you start going around the locker room and ask for favors. Like, look, we're trying to save some money,
trying to repeat,
and we're trying to repeat.
They saw what they did.
Yeah.
They want to do that again. Yeah. So if you want to do that again, you have to do what it takes.
Yeah, true.
You take that little
Nothing's
pay cut.
above the repay. I mean, the repeat.
Yeah.
If Tom Brady, the GOAT, can take less money.
Well, he also has Uggs behind him.
Yeah. But players do that. So.
Yeah.
14th is Selleck. $1 million if you cut him, or he might just end up riding off into the sunset at this point.
Should.
Please,
he should with Donnie.
$1 million debt. $4 million savings. $4 million savings on a guy like Brent Selleck. Torrey Smith, 0 dead, $5 million savings. So if Selleck and Smith walk, theoretically, you're close to getting, you're inching more towards that salary cap. So when we all speak about the doom and gloom of salary cap, you get rid of a guy like Selleck, it pains me to say, Torrey Smith, not so fucking much. But if you allow them to walk, you were just about in that area. And then there's also Chance Warmack. There's little guys, little free agents, 1-year deals that you're going to end up dumping here and there that's going to get you closer to cleaning up your own house, which is fine. The big topic of conversation since the end of the Super Bowl, and as well as on Twitter and everything, and I would ask everybody to clear the room because me and Lee are about to knuckle up on this one, all right, is one Nicky Foles, Nicky Six. The Super Bowl MVP.
It's been a touchy subject on the timeline.
You ain't kidding.
And you think about it. I was watching some banter go back and forth, and I'm just like, yo, motherfuckers, we just won the Super Bowl, y'all. And people are
we can't be happy.
I can see the claws coming out.
We won another one already.
True.
We won another one already.
And I like that passion though. I do like that passion. But Foles is the hot topic.
All right, so Mr. Levon.
Get up on your soapbox.
I am going to. No, I will get on my soapbox.
He's already hit me in the face once. I don't know if you remember Baltimore.
Yeah, I remember that.
I
remember that.
Yeah, Nelson owes me one. The worst thing is like when somebody owes you back and you never know when it's coming.
Yeah.
You never know when it's coming. He's
Like
like, I'm going to get you back. You just sweep
the leg.
I'm going to knock him off the ladder next year.
Sweep the leg. Come on, man. You're going to put me out of commission for the season. He's gonna try to put me on injured reserve over here. So, Lee, I'm going to give you the floor because I know you're pro-trade Foles.
To an extent.
Yes, you did. So, why don't you... The floor is yours. Talk me into the possibility, because nothing's guaranteed, right? I think we can agree on that. Nothing's guaranteed, and there's a lot of moving pieces and factors to this whole thing. Convince me why we should trade Nicky Foles.
First off, you save money.
Buy another one, you rich motherfucker.
Hey, we need some music here. Some high intense music right here.
Secondly, you're going to get draft picks back, which you desperately need at this point. If you get a first, you have to do it. But in my opinion, to trade Nick Foles for less than a first, he's got to want to go because he's earned that right. He's won that job to say if he wants to go or not. If he wants to stay here as a backup, let him stay as a backup. But if he wants to go and be a starter for the right price, you let him go. And you let him go because you trust Doug. We saw how abysmal Nick Foles was the first couple games. Then we remember that press conference where Doug said he's going back to 2013 to look at what Nick Foles did, his strengths. Totally different player right after that. totally different player. So is it much? Do you trust Doug to do this with Nate Sudfeld, who ran a same type of offense at Indiana and kind of held his own against a top 10 defense with third-string players all around him? Or do you just stick with Foles, stick with that money, and don't get those picks back?
Is that it?
That's it right there.
Okay. No, I can appreciate that argument, because when you start talking about picks, that's something that we don't have a lot of. When you start talking about salary cap room, something we don't have a lot of. Here's my argument to be made for the whole Nick Foles situation.
He won the fucking Super Bowl.
No.
That's
believe it or not, that's probably 5th or 6th on the list.
You got that many points right now?
Oh, I'm locked and loaded, baby. All right, first of all, I don't know who put it in Eagles Twitter head that Nick Foles was worth a first-round pick. I'm not sure where that came from.
Napoleon?
No. Who the fuck said that? Well, I know who said it, because this is the time of year when the Twitter GMs, and we're all a little bit of a Twitter GM in our own right, some more than others, but the Eagles Twitter GMs will automatically start making gross assumptions about what's going to happen and who's worth what. We've all gotten mentions and people in our DMs got, and one of them sticks out in my mind, because I always said I'm going to reference this the rest of my life, how ridiculous this sounds, because I get a DM about, hey, EROCK, what do you think? A 4th-round pick and Riley Cooper for Larry Fitzgerald. What the fuck are you doing? Why would you even waste my time DMing me with this garbage? You know that's not going to happen. Why? And I DM'd them, why would Arizona do that?
Why you got to expose me like that?
Why would Arizona do it? How is that advantageous to Arizona? I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there. This isn't Madden. This is real numbers. So
Madden wouldn't even accept that.
Madden wouldn't even accept that. So in order for you to get a first-round pick for Foles, here's the list of criteria. Not to say that the stars can't align, because in certain instances, especially with this team,
February 4th.
I'm talking Bradford, but I'll get there. The stars have to align. Not to say that they can't, but the stars really do have to align. First of all, you have to find a team that is desperate for a quarterback, that has missed out on the Kirk Cousins sweepstakes and missed out on a quarterback in the draft.
You think it happens that late?
I think it happens that late.
Foles is due his bonus like March 18th.
All the more reason he stays.
If he's there, then he's there.
All the more reason he stays. Because why, as a team, would you give a first-round pick for Nick Foles before free agency, before the draft, before you have a chance to acquire a younger quarterback that is going to be there for longer and potentially has a better upside? Because keep in mind, it wasn't even a year ago. March 9th, 2017, the Chiefs cut Nick Foles. They didn't exercise his option. He was a free agent. If somebody loved Nick Foles that much, they would have signed him right then. He wouldn't have ended up a backup here in Philadelphia with Doug. March 13th is when they signed him. So if somebody thought that highly of Nick Foles, they would have already made that move. Notice I'm talking post everything, post draft. If they missed out on the quarterbacks in the draft, Gail, how many projected quarterbacks in the first round? Ballpark.
They could be like 4 or maybe even 5. And that number 32 spot is key for us, because someone might trade into that. So that could be the 5th. So they get that 5th year on option on the quarterback. So there's potentially 5.
And everybody on the phone lines, hang tight real quick while I churn my way through this, and then we're going to go to the phones. Oh, man, I'm talking so much, I'm making myself cough. All right, so there's possibly 5 quarterbacks that could go in the first round of the NFL draft. If you're one of those teams desperate for a quarterback, why would you trade away your first-round pick for a guy like Nicky Foles? All right, then you got to already have missed out on the Kirk Cousins sweepstakes. There's going to be a bevy of quarterbacks out there in the free agent market, including probably Case Keenum, because I think the Minnesota Vikings, I think it's if you read the tea leaves right, they're moving on from that situation.
All 3 of those
and
QBs are gone.
Bridgewater too.
Yeah. Bridgewater too. Oh, okay. So now
Bradford.
You're adding and really
all 3 of them.
All 3 of them.
God damn. All right. Fire sale in Minnesota. So they're dumping all these quarterbacks. There's going to be quarterbacks out there to acquire. So if you're thinking you're getting a first-round pick this year for Nick Foles, you're crazy. It's a little naive to think that, because other teams are going to explore other options. Then you have to look at, does Nick Foles want to go? I love on Twitter how people say Nick Foles wants to be a starter. We don't know what the fuck Nick Foles wants. We didn't even know he was close to retirement. People say, oh, Nick Foles wants to be a starter. He's comfortable being a backup. He wants to stay here. He wants to go there. We don't know, but whatever team that they were potentially going to trade him to, let's say it was Cleveland. I don't know. Who the fuck wants to go to Cleveland?
Nobody wants to go to Cleveland.
You know, you're the Super Bowl MVP. You just had a daughter. Don't ever doubt what a little girl in your life will do in order to prioritize things, right? So you got to be like, hey, you want to go to Cleveland? If he says no, my third point is that team has to then agree with Nick Foles to a contract extension. He has 1 year left on that deal. So you would have him for 1 year. A first-round pick basically buys you 4 years of a player plus a fifth-year option. So if I'm a team potentially giving up a first-round pick for Nick Foles, I better make damn right and well that this guy isn't any closer to retirement than he was maybe last year or the year before, and I've got to make sure I can sign him to a 5-year deal because that's the value, the numeric year value that I can get for a first-round pick. Next, does Nick Foles fit my system? You just mentioned it in 2013. They went back and looked at that tape. That RPO thing just works for the dude. I mean, what they were trying to cram down his throat before simply wasn't working. You take a look at Jeff Fisher. Now, granted, Jeff Fisher's a goddamn quarterback killer, but he didn't play well in St. Louis prior to that.
Nope.
No one did.
No one did.
No
and he played well underneath Andy Reid, but not the Nick Foles that we saw in the playoffs. So you have got to find a team that he's willing to go to that is going to sign him long term in a system that fits him. And does he fit in their cap situation as well? Because with a new quarterback comes a new contract, and that contract's not going to be for fucking peanuts. It's going to be for bigger money. So if all those criteria are filled, you're probably still not going to get a first-round pick for this year. Again, Eagles fans, I would implore you, before you come up with any hot take or before you come up with any trade scenario, simply ask yourself, would I do this if I was in Cleveland shoes? Because, hey, they got 2 first-round picks. They go, what if they trade you to 4? Of course. Nick Foles trades you. They offer you a 4 for Nick Foles? The 4th overall pick? That's a fucking no-brainer. Of course.
The one is not happening.
The one is not happening. So then you have to measure the draft pick versus Wentz's injury. And they have a timetable in place right now. They have an estimate on when he's going to be back. A vague idea sometime before the season or during the season next time. Next year.
Season.
Next season, right? Along the way, there's going to be checkpoints, right? So they're going to, by this time, he should be running. By this time, he should be cutting. By this time, he should be shorts and jersey practice, right? Light practice. By this time, full pads. And then moving forward. Now, I'm not a medical expert. I'm not on the training staff. I don't know how that's structured. But any intelligent person can kind of gather that they're going to have checkpoints along the way. If one of those checkpoints gets delayed by 2 weeks, if he's running and everything's on schedule, but 2 weeks later, they're thinking, all right, 3 weeks later he's going to be able to cut, and he can't. All the rest of the checkpoints move back after that, get delayed. Now, again, they'll have a better idea of where he is prior to the preseason, but even that's not a guarantee. I spoke with you guys last while we were at New Media Studios about somebody, and I don't want to turn this into third party. I heard this, a friend of a friend, my mailman's daughters who's married to the athletic trainer of the fucking Eagles said this, but a guy whose brother-in-law, I don't want to get into it. Let's call it third party just to make it simple, said that prior to the playoffs of 2017 that they were worried about a Teddy Bridgewater situation on Carson Wentz. Turns out he has the LCL as well, so it's a compounded knee situation right there. Then, and I said to you guys, listen, I'm not going to say that on air. I'm not going to tweet that out because I don't want to be like Gossip Girl. Plus, if you're wrong, you look like an asshole, so I'm just going to keep it hush. But just to let you guys know in group chat that I heard this, right? And then 4 or 5 days later, I'm at NBC Sports, and I'm talking to one of the guys there, and I'm not going to put his name out there, but I'm like, man, I heard this fucking thing about Carson Wentz, and it was third party, so I don't want to make a big deal out of it, but they were saying, his rehab, and he, without even hesitation, without hearing the story, said week 8 at best. Boom. And I just kind of looked at him like, oh, shit, really? And he's like, yeah, week 8 at best. Now, I cannot confirm or deny any of this. we've seen guys like Phillip Rivers tear his ACL, play on an ACL, and then come back the next year. We've seen guys like Adrian Peterson tear his ACL and play fucking 3 days later. The guy's a freak of nature.
Yeah.
We've seen Terrell Owens break his ankle and then play well expected, and everything is dependent. But I'm not going into next season in a season where there's nothing above defending the championship and repeating. If Carson Wentz is out 2 weeks, all right. If he's out 4 weeks, okay. What if it turns into 6 weeks? What if it turns into 8 weeks? Yeah. Which is all the more reason why you need a guy who knows the system, who it works in, a guy like Nick Foles to lead you up. Listen, this is Carson Wentz's team. Carson Wentz is going nowhere. We have Nick Foles for 1 more year. If this was any, and I know I'm rambling, I apologize, but if this was any other year besides this year, besides the year that they won the Super Bowl, if it was like the end of the 2016 season, I'd fucking trade Nick Foles for a 5th right now. For a 5th. But it's not, because there's nothing above the repeat. Let's go to the phones. I'm sorry.